towards some even more foolishness. So yeah, bro was just kind of talking reckless. And I think like there's nothing wrong with having these conversations, but it's got to be time and season. You have to also know the woman that you're with. There's so many ways that if he wanted to have this conversation, it'd probably be better to have this kind of conversation offline, right? A private one, and then you let her know, right? Because sometimes our afterlives get spicy, and we have some of the ladies and we ask questions, but we always give a disclaimer. We're gonna ask some more spicier questions. Are you down with that, right? We gotta give people an opportunity to check out if they want to check out, and also give them a heads up for what's about to come, right? But he just went right into it. So yeah, I think he's moving wrong. I tried to avoid all the only child, stuff that's coming his way as a fellow only child, only son too. But he's really coming off very selfish too. It's not interested in her. It seems like everything is one-sided. Feed me, take care of me, cater to me. And he just wants all this attention, and he wants to be able to kind of be the benefactor of everything that Jasmine's going to give him.
Yeah, I think as well, you're absolutely right, because in that particular space as well, there was a scene where, if I get my notes quickly, I can get the actual clip for you guys as well. There's a scene where that same scene when they're talking, just before even the sexual talk, something actually happens. So she feeds him some of the lobster, and as she feeds him the lobster, he just eats the whole entire lobster piece. She was like, "Oh, yeah, the whole lobster piece," and that's the part of the selfishness that actually even plays on it. It's like it's similar to the whole grape situation as well, where he's like, "Feed me grapes," and I think I want. Let me not go there. I don't want to go there. Because obviously we saw potentially he could be liking someone else, which is Dominique in it. We've seen in some previews. Apparently he could be liking Dominique. Apparently he could be. It's just rumors.
Coach, I sent a clip. No, Dominique is into somebody else.
Oh.
It's Mr. Ginger.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't see the clip I posted in our
I must have missed it.
Chat. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Don't do
some
it.
fireworks there's a little lip swapping.
Oh, okay. So let's leave that alone. But yes, he was very selfish with the lobster tail, and she noticed it as well. I think I got a clip. Let me get the clip. Yes, here we go.
You gonna eat the whole thing? The lobster tail good. Mm-hmm.
Like it's the little things, like when she mentioned you're gonna eat the whole thing. Yes, because you was meant to bite it and send it back. That's what it was supposed to do. And he just literally just ate it all, no concern for her, just like the grape situation again. It's giving me, and more of me, and I think that is the biggest issue here. I think again, even the conversation that it leads into when he's talking about sex, him wanting to say, oh, I think she's a bit more conservative, and I know I'm the kind of person that will bring it out of her. Again, it's giving problematic. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the one that's going to bring it out of her. Already doesn't sound too great because we haven't even worked on anything else yet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's giving a little bit of a problem here. Just saying. I'm not feeling it.
And look, I don't want to come all the way for the brother, but if he's busy trying to get her down to the bedroom, right? It's sounding like he's going to be selfish in the bedroom too.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't look like he's going to be sharing anything.
And you heard what she said. She said that she's open to more pleasurable experiences because it sounds like she might be towards the end where she hasn't fully enjoyed it, right? Or been with the man that has made her feel comfortable enough to enjoy it. And unfortunately, it's not Arris. And I just feel bad because she just has such oh man, what a great accommodating, easygoing, great energy and attitude. you don't see, you see all the like the different archetypes that they throw on the show, but very often do you get, a woman that's just so friendly like that and so easygoing and really just, for what I can see at this point, non-problematic. She just seems to be, and again, her relationship experience, but listen, everybody got something. But for the most part, she tolerates his antics. She's always willing to do things for him. He sent her to the door to go, when they were the first night, to go get the room service, and she just willingly went. I just feel like she might get a little steamrolled by this guy. Hope not, but it looks that way.
Yeah, I think also as well, I think the biggest thing here that I see is that, I think the biggest thing, I think the biggest craziness is if you go back earlier when they have a conversation about her mum, he's really accommodating, saying he wants to help and everything. So it's almost confusing because you got one part of him saying, "Look, your mum loves me. I wouldn't mind helping you, coming with you to the hospital, coming, helping you and da 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 da." And then we get this other selfish side of him where it's just like about the sex situation. There's so much push on the sexual side. That tells me, I think, going back, I remember a few weeks, at the very beginning when he spoke about him never ever been in love, and then also, well, he said actually this episode not been in love, and then also as well, I think about. I think he was talking earlier on about the connection that he's had with women in the past, about being hurt. Yes, being hurt in the past and it taking him a long time. I wonder if he struggles to be actually vulnerable. And so sex is his means of being able to, quote unquote, communicate, be vulnerable, and be open, because it's weird because he was happy to support her in the mum situation, but then you see all these little tiny behaviors where he's just, or maybe I don't want to say maybe it's just being an only child, but he's just someone who doesn't maybe think ahead of time in terms of what his language and what it actually denotes as well, and what it actually means, because he has no problem pushing those boundaries. And I think that's the biggest thing for Arris. He has no problem pushing her particular boundaries in that aspect as well. It's a bit of a mad thing.
I would happen to agree. Yeah, I think that the part that he said about being supportive, I want to see it first. Sorry. After his behavior and the way he's acted, I just don't. It could be a little performative to me, because you know what he also said that threw me for a loop. What if your sister likes me? What?
Yes. No, bro. Oh my freaking word. Yes. Bro, when he said that, I said red fucking flag.
Yeah, he's trying to take down the whole family. What's he got going on? Again, these people are on the wrong show. He needs to be on one of them poly shows on TLC or something, because he's on the wrong show.
You not told no lies. I actually remember that, bro. When he said that, I was confused. I was like, no, this doesn't sound right. Like this, when you're playing a game and you don't really care about the person, and you're trying to move dangerous. This is the kind of stuff that you kind of say. You know what I mean? This is the kind of stuff that you say. It's kind of stuff that you say to break. This is the darkest of the darkest arts. If I'm honest with you, this is of the dark spectrum of arts. And this is when you're trying to break the person. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm like concerned by it. I'm like, because when you start saying about what if your sister likes me, what it does is it's meant to set insecurity in a person's heart. Right? So now whenever you see her with your sister, what you gonna think? Do you get what I'm saying? It's an intentional play. It's a dark art. I can't lie to you. It's an absolute dark art. And it is going to cause insecurity in the other person. And oftentimes it's done so that the person can be in a position of chasing. So it kind of lowers their esteem, so they can always be in a place where they're always chasing you. Yeah, listen, hey, look, this is the darkest of the darkest art. Arris is kind of unassuming with it, but I can see it. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a mad thing, and that could be also because he's a person who needs to feel that a woman completely is engulfed in him, and that's that fear again. That's where it gets to wanting a person to be in that space. AC way. Sorry, let me read. I know you don't want to be that close. AC, we're talking about Arris
Hey.
and Jasmine. How you doing? You right, babe?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Great.
good. Loving the hair,
Nice
loving
to
the
see
edges.
you.
Thank you.
We love you. Glowing.
Edge control,
Glowing.
baby. Edge control. She said,
That's
let me take this
that's the
toothbrush and
makeup
do
look
what I need to
today.
do, baby. She's gonna take the toothbrush and edge up the control, baby.
This is my skin
Okay.
routine, okay?
Come on, face glowing, hair popping. All right. We appreciate
Okay.
this.
Don't be
But
teasing
we're talking about
people. You are
Arris.
a taken woman. Oh, that's
Yeah.
let me shut up because I always get yelled at. Stop, blah, 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 blah. I'm just gonna be
I
quiet
like
and
your
give a
sister.
compliment.
They
I like your sister.
They yell at you for coming at me. That's what they yell at you.
No, you and Jay always like, why you always got to talk about who we with?
Oh, that yeah. We do about that.
But Siwe, what's your thoughts on Arris and Jasmine situation? It seems like you've improved absolutely right, 100%, Siwe. So well done.
So, and now I'm gonna have to caveat my opinion with all of my opinions are mine. If I happen to agree with Sean and Kojo, it's only because I agree. It's not because I feel the need to. I just want to get that out there because I've been seeing that lately. But you know, I would say that Arris at many points pleasantly surprised me in this episode with the things that he said, and then he also disappointed me in other parts of the episode. You know, like being very inappropriate at the dinner table, talking about different positions. He really seems kind of emotionally delayed. Like for 39, he gives off 29-year-old vibes. I don't know if it's just because he looks young and acts young, but he just doesn't seem like anybody who's been on this planet for 39 years. The way he acts is very, very immature. And I would go as far as saying delayed. But I really did like the way he offered to be there for her and her family and her mother. That was unprompted. I wanted to know that was unprompted. She didn't ask him for that support. He came out, he did that on his own volition, which shows an intention to do right. Will he have the follow through to do right? I'm not sure. But I did like the fact that he did, at least in his head, you could tell that he wants to do better. Kind of like that Olajuwon. Like Olajuwon, his capacity was limited at times, but I think a lot of times his heart was in the right place. And I hope Arris's heart is in the right place. And at least he showed that with that statement. I think his immaturity came up later at the dinner table, you know, talking about different positions. It was just very inappropriate. I gave that first initial caveat to say I do agree with Sean that what's her name again? Help me.
Jasmine.
I don't know why she just doesn't feel like a Jasmine to me. Jasmine has one of the sweetest hearts and souls I feel like I have seen on maps in a really long time. She is really accommodating, really sweet. She seems very even-keeled. She's that like fit, feminine, submissive stuff that y'all be asking for. She just really seems like a really good girl. And I hope perhaps her personality is what Arris is going to need to kind of push him in the right direction, because I don't think they could have matched him with a nicer girl so far. I think they really, really match him with a really sweet girl. And if he can't make it work with her and her accommodation, and the way she's already catered to him a little bit too much, if you ask me, I don't know what to say for Arris. He's in trouble because he has a really nice girl. So I'm trying to be positive because I do think there was actually really sweet moments about this episode, and I did smile when he said, "I'll watch all 20 of your dogs." I was like, that's really sweet. That's a helpmate, you know. That's what you need, you know. If we as women are going to get married, you need to get something out of it, you know. And I was like, that's really been a helpmate. That's really sweet. And then he went on to act like Arris of last week. Arris from around the way. that Arris came back, but I did appreciate that initial moment.
You gonna leave us something? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Honestly, I think with Arris, I'm trying to figure out whether it's game or whether it's like what I'm saying, like you said about same with Elijah Juwan. You want to do better, but you don't have the capacity to do better. You know what I mean? Like you see yourself doing better, but it's very hard to change old habits. And I wonder if that's the case. You know what I mean? Because I was saying to before you got here, I was saying to Sean, I wonder, it does seem like he's I thought he was emotionally detached maybe a little bit as well, hasn't really um gotten over the past hurt, because I remember in his the beginning when we get to know him, his thing was he has been hurt in the past and it took him a long time to get over it. It took him what 12, 30 years to get over the past hurt. And I said, yeah, that sounds like a wound that's bigger than just a girlfriend hurting you or ex hurting you. That sounds like either a mummy or daddy issue which is connected with a girl hurting you, which has doubled over. Do you know what I mean? And you fail to deal with it. And in that case, if someone like that is wounded like that, sex becomes the method of communication and becomes a method of connecting with someone beyond before connecting with that person on an emotional level. So he generally could be offering his help, um, but then his nature of consistently trying to use sex as a vehicle of connection can actually prohibit the connection because he's not actually really getting close enough to get to know the person. So he's actually shielding himself from being hurt again by guarding the heart, which is what's part of that emotional communication and that emotional connection with somebody, but using sex as a way of like, oh no, I like you, I love you, I appreciate you. This sex is my way of kind of communicating with you. If anyone tells you sex is their way of telling you they love you, I'm gonna tell you straight, I appreciate that, but it ain't true. Because sex is only an aspect, it's a shard of, it's not the way that you show someone love. And if you're stuck at the sex part, I would implore you to look a bit deeper because we should have more connections than just sex. You know what I mean? We can have sex with anybody. And that's the honest truth. But connection requires us to actually converse, to talk, to get to know, to extract information from one another, to generally dive deep and actually find out who that person is right in front of you, and not consistently ask questions about. It's the fact that, do you know what was even wild? It's the fact that he asked her favorite color only to dive back into what sex was. That's what took me off. I said, bro, like, so you asked a sex question and she said, listen, do you know what? I'm going to be a little bit conservative about it. For you to then ask a question about her favorite color, then to say, well, people who like lavender actually like backshot. Like, bro, that is wild to me, bro. It is the wildest of wildest kind of connections I've ever heard. Plus, I never heard lavender ends like backshot. I heard they like no jokes, but I've never heard that. So it's wild to me. Yeah,
He made that up. He completely
yeah,
made that up.
And that's scary. That part's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head with his I think it's somewhere in between him being delayed and his hurt that is allowing him to use sex as a vehicle as a wall, because it seems he's almost using it like the way Nicole, was that the shoulders? Who's the girl with the shoulders? Her name Nicole?
Yeah.
The way she kind of brought up sex in her relationship, like, are we gonna do it? It's the same type of like unnatural way to bring it up. Like, this is not a real connection. Or the way Clara used it with Ryan. Like, you don't even really want him like that. You're just doing something. And that when people are just doing something, that's when you need to wait even longer. Like, you really need to force him out of his comfort zone to make him show intimacy in a real way, mental intimacy, other forms of intimacy, or I think it'll be really easy for them to fall into his same patterns of being with people and never being in love. He has to go deeper. He has to be pushed to go deeper. And I hope Pastor Cal don't come with the bull crap. Have you guys done this yet? No. I need you to give real advice and really push them to grow intimacy. That's what they need, not just the actual do, So that's what I hope. And I hope Pastor Cal doesn't come with his bull crap per usual. You awake, Sean?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You know, add something, Sean?
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that this is not a yellow or green sign for her to proceed. She should be proceeding with caution, when it comes to him, because all roads should not lead to sex, right? Although they're married, and a lot of times we, want to see if that connection is further. I think this is one of those where I'm okay with her taking her time, because I need to see more of his character, and especially because she's so nice, and she has mentioned that her picker is off, and that's been an issue of hers in previous relationships. So I'm just so scared that she's going to get hurt, because she's naively going into this expecting him coming to the table with being genuine, expecting him coming to the table with really being open to the process. I did like that she kind of questioned it, that he had never been in love before. I thought it was also very smart of her to shift the conversation and start to talk about his previous relationships and what are some of the things that he's learned and what are some of the things that she's learned. So I thought that was great, that she was able to redirect and kind of talk about some more important things. And she uncovered something that's a touch concerning, because we talk about, ladies, right? When they haven't had relationships in their mid-30s or never been in love in some of the other shows, or when we talk about these types of topics. And I think it is a big red flag to be 39 and to not have been in love not one time. I think that's a red flag, and it just shows that you've been out there. And listen, it's not a red flag if you want to be a bachelor, right? It's not a red flag if you just want to be out here and just have a good time. But it is a red flag if your first experience with love and a marriage is at married at first sight. Which, if he's never been in love, that means he has nowhere near ever been remotely close to an altar. So this is his first experience with a relationship that could lead to marriage, is married at first sight. So yeah, that's very concerning. Very, very, very concerning. So I'm definitely, after finding that out and matching that up with his actions, I'm concerned. I don't see this going much of anywhere. And then after he already said that she's not his normal type, it would take a miracle.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go for it, Siba.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask if you saw Nina's comment. I don't know if you understood it. I think I understand it, but yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like, Kojo, this is your lane, so maybe you understand what she's saying.
My lane.
I don't do much of that.
Can we use Arris and Jasmine as a springboard to how men can take women from their feminine energy into their masculine, because she's on a road to structure with her submissive femininity? I can answer that question for you, but go for it, Sean.
I was going to say no, because you should be who you are always. You should be who you are. You shouldn't be flipping and flopping in and out of femininity and masculinity based on whomever you're in relationship with. And you definitely shouldn't be allowing people that you have negative experiences with to change who you are. So a man that you interact with shouldn't be able to morph you from a feminine woman into a masculine one. No. So I disagree with that. I think what situations like this is to be alert of the different types of men that are out there, to have your guard up before you enter into relationships, right? And you give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You come into situations starting fresh. And I think that's what happens too often in relationships on men and women's side, is we take whatever baggage that people did to us in the past, and then we enter into that, and then we start treating the men like that, or we start treating the women like that. That's why you have the manosphere, right? And so they say, oh, we know female nature, so you're going to treat women accordingly. No. We should respect all women. We should treat all women the right way. And then if they show us something different, then we could remove ourselves from the situation, but we don't change who we are. So that's my thought.
I'm screaming at this twerking, pop locking, and dropping in and out of femininity. What is wrong with you?
I said morphing.
you did come around to where I wanted you to go. So I'm not going to say I have something to debate. I do think that a lot of men do get women like Jasmine who are in their femininity, and they, instead of embracing that and covering them, they take it for granted and they abuse them. But I do think the answer is, if that's happening, then to leave. Because, you know, getting buck and getting strong with someone who's taking your I don't want to say, because we submit unto each other, but your submissiveness in your way, for granted, and abusing it, is, there's no point in even changing who you are if that's really who you are, at your core. I think a lot of times, though, that's not who that's not who women are at their core, and they're pretending because they're listening to all these folks on the podcast telling them that they need to be fit, feminine, submissive, and that's not really their nature. Like my little brother told me today, you have masculine energy. And I said, I do. And that was the end of the conversation. There really was nothing else to say. I'm not going to sit here and debate with somebody. I'm not going to debate because I know it's true. But I'm also not going to be like being fake and trying to be like a person that I'm not. And then when a man makes me mad, then now all of a sudden I'm rah, 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 rah. No, the rah, rah is the real me. The other part was the fake me. So I would just say, be yourself. And if you're really that type of person, and you see someone not abusing you or taking you for granted, then move around. And if you're not that, then be who you are, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I personally think, I think Jasmine is feminine, but there's an aspect which I think everyone has to learn, which is we all need both the masculine and the feminine, right? So if I'm lacking the feminine energy, you'll see me unable to access my emotional side. I'm not saying women emotions, but it's the emotional side, the creativity of my side, you know, the ability to receive. I'll be lacking in those areas, and you'll see it play out in relationships, right? So those men who don't have much of their feminine side, you see it, right? They come into a relationship and they're unable to love. You know, they're unable to show emotion. They're able to tap into those aspects of themselves, right? But then for Jasmine, there's the other side, which is creating good boundaries requires masculine energy. So you actually need to be able to create the boundaries to protect your own femininity first and foremost, before I get in there and I protect you, so that it allows you to let your guard down and become your full feminine self. Even then, you still have to protect yourself, because there has to be a guard in between that aspect. So yes, women like Jasmine do find men like Arris, but the difference between someone like Jasmine and someone else will be that if they have their boundaries up, they would have checked him a little bit earlier, right? Because as soon as he started doing that sex talk and you're uncomfortable, you've got to be able to advocate for yourself. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't do this because they're people pleasers, and some of us are wanting to accommodate. We want to be nice. We saw the same thing with Justin last season. The first day he met old girl Alexis, she was already telling him what she didn't like about him. And I said, if you don't check her there, guess what's going to happen? She's going to keep on doing it. You have to have boundaries, and that means you have to advocate for yourself. You have to be able to set what you require and what you like and what you don't like. And it may be hurtful for the other person to hear that, but the reality is that's what you accept and what you don't accept, right? So, and that's what protects the feminine energy in the long run. Because what you're saying is, this is how I like to operate. I want to be able to be in my space, but to do so, I need to let you know this is as far as you can come. Like you can't be saying those things when I barely know you. You can't be making me feel uncomfortable and I don't say anything, you know, because you have to think about her long-term objective. In a year or 2, 3, 4, 5, Arris is the type to Arris, like other men too, who are married and probably 5 or 10 years down the line, are asking this question: why did you change? She ain't changed, but you've been killing her slowly. Okay, you've been doing some Fuji stuff because she didn't say anything until she got fed up. You know what I mean? So one has to advocate for themselves and say something, so that we don't get to the point where we're now 5 years down the line, or 2 years down the line, or even 6 months down the line, and you're so frustrated, you're not coming out saying rah 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 rah, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, you never said nothing. You know what I mean? So yes, the feminine requires also for the masculine, and everybody has duality and you need to protect yourself. That comes through stating boundaries and standards as well. Go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I was going to say the other part that that I think I just wanted to be clear about is like, you don't have to be a man to disagree with a man. Like, you don't have to be masculine to tell me that as a woman that I'm doing something wrong. Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you're masculine, or just because you challenge my point of view doesn't make you masculine, right? And I think sometimes women think that that's the answer, right? We don't need to match energies. You just need to advocate for yourself, right? So if you feel like I'm saying something you don't like, then just like Kojo said, you tell me. That doesn't make you masculine because you're telling me that. Now, if you come at me with the same man energy, that's two bulls fighting. It doesn't make sense. That's not how we should be addressing conflict in a relationship, right? So just the same way, if a woman that I'm in a relationship with is coming at me sideways, I can't start acting like her. That's not gonna, that's why we say men, when men are having arguments with a woman, or if a woman is coming at you sideways, if you start getting overly emotional because she's overly emotional, you have two overly emotional people. If you have a man that's coming at you aggressively, and then you're gonna start being aggressive to him, you have two aggressive people. That's never a good combination. We need to be who we are, but still be able to advocate for ourselves. Right? So I don't think you need to just do exactly what the person is doing. That's kind of like the eye for the eye concept. And that for me is not an effective way to handle relationships. I think it's something that has become acceptable because it's like, we have these expressions that are very well accepted. Like you go low, I go to hell. Right? So we just kind of start going down a path, but that kind of, problem resolution is toxic. Because you're having a problem with something I'm doing and the way that I'm doing it, so you're just going to do that. You're going to mirror the same thing I'm doing. So now your way of handling issues is the same way as the problematic man. So you're equally problematic. So I just think I want to caution us from saying like, oh, if a man does this, then I'm going to be a man too. No, you're still a woman. Men and women are different. I'm still a man. So I can't do things that you can do, and you can't do things that I can do. So that's my little caveat.
I don't have anything except for I think this segment, I really hope you can box it up and splice it, because I think that is something that is often missed, is boundary setting and mixing up that, setting boundaries is not wrong. And you can better protect who you are as a person the more respectfully you place your boundaries. And I love the Justin example, because you don't have to act crazy and be blocking people because you withstood all of this stuff that you really didn't want to take, and now you're acting out at the end. You don't have to get there if you kind of cut people off respectfully, and then you're able to be who you are. So I think that was a really good point. Both points.
Exactly, and that's literally what it is. It's self-advocating for oneself. And again, like Sean said, and like Sue said, just want to again reiterate, it's not about being masculine when you step up for yourself or advocate for yourself. What we're saying is that is part of the masculine energy. You need both. You actually need to have both. But you operate in your feminine, but you use some of the masculine to, because masculine is all about the protection piece, the provision, and that aspect, right? So you use part of the masculine energy in order to protect your own femininity, which is, how do I set my boundaries? What are my standards? I speak up. I tell you, hey, Mr. Arris, you know what? I appreciate the fact you want to talk about sex, but we're on camera and I don't want to talk about it. This is not what I want to talk about. So we can talk about this after, but this is not the place to talk about it. You know what I mean? Or listen, this is not me. I don't want to. And so he has to learn how to respect that boundary. And if he keeps pushing it, you know what to do now. You can say, this is somebody who's disrespectful, doesn't respect me, doesn't respect my boundaries. He now has to go. But I think the biggest thing here, and I want to just point this out as well, is I don't want to confuse Jasmine being feminine and friendly and mix it up with not advocating for yourself as being feminine. That's not what's happening. Also, take into account her history. She deals with men who she builds a bear for. This is also a part of the problem and the aspect of why she probably can't also advocate for herself. She chooses men who she sees potential in. She's potentially doing the exact same thing as what she's doing for Arris. he's got the possibility to change, he's got the possibility to grow. If I give him enough room, if I'm enough patient, or if I'm accommodating or loving enough, he will surely see the light of day. The reality is he ain't never going to see the light of day, because until someone tells him that his behavior is reckless and is endangering for the person, he ain't changing. He's gonna be the exact same way. So I'm also looking at it from that perspective as well. That sometimes married at first sight, I don't like the experiment, but I feel like I'm starting to see what they're doing now. Okay, them goons at the top said, you know what, the things that you are not good at, we're going to put you in a relationship with somebody else who's going to test those things you're not good at, and we'll see how it works, right? And I think in this particular instance, Jasmine's need to also build a bear and look for potential is now playing its role. And will you learn your lesson too? Because Arris has got a problem, which is he can't connect emotionally with women, and it's showing up. It's showing up right now. And it's going to be is it going to be a perfect storm, or is someone going to learn, or are both people going to learn in this instance? Because he's got the non-emotional side, and he doesn't have to connect, and it ends up with sex. And she likes to see potential. Perfect storm, and this ends up being a potentially, I wouldn't even say toxic, but I would say someone's going to lose out in the situation, and more than likely, it might end up being Jasmine, because if she gives her body over, that's exactly what he wanted. You know what I mean? So it's yeah. Go for it, Sean. You want to say something? Oh, see, wait, Sean, whoever it was.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think it was Kioma Tate, she made a good point about aggression is also emotional, and it is. When a man is being aggressive, that is an emotion. And when he is unnecessarily aggressive, that is him not having control over his emotions, right? That aggression is in us for a reason. It is there to be tapped into when we are to protect ourselves in harmful situations or protect our loved ones, right? But just going after our loved ones with aggression is when it's being misused. So that is 100% a lack of emotional control. And many would say it is a feminine characteristic, because you are out of control. Now, we can debate gender norms and things like that, so I don't want to do that, but I will just say that it's definitely, you don't have emotional control. You're not stable if you lash out at the people that you love and you use your aggression as a man against them. That is wrong road, and it shows instability. So you have to be able to control your frame, and again, that's why I think it just reinforces this point, for us. And I think bigger than Arris and Jasmine, like when we think about our relationships and how things go awry amongst conflict, this speaks to our conflict styles. And if we don't put ourselves in check, if we know, like, hey, listen, somebody comes at me sideways, I'm coming in guns a-blazing, and you feel right. And we've seen that on so many times on Ready to Love, right? When people feel justified because somebody came at them sideways, and then they go guns a-blazing, and then it just turns into unnecessary mass destruction, right? And a lot of times the relationships never come back from that, whether it's friendships or the love relationships. So I think we need to kind of check ourselves when it comes to that. Like, what's your conflict style? What's the way how do you handle it when somebody comes at you a wrong way? And we can't always match energy, right? Protect boundaries, like we were all saying, I think is the key to it. Protect our boundaries, set our boundaries, be firm, but you ain't got to come with karate chops and kicks because somebody is, talking a little sideways to you.
Okay. All righty. Okay. We got